Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into a 2,000-year-old text that has guided everyone from ancient yogis to, believe it or not, the creator of the atomic bomb. Now forget the dusty, old religious book you might be picturing. We're going to uncover how the Bhagavad Gita is actually a surprisingly modern and practical toolkit for navigating the chaos of our everyday lives. So, the Gita doesn't start with some lofty, abstract idea. Nope, it throws us right into the middle of a deeply human crisis. A moment of complete and utter breakdown, right before a massive battle. This isn't just some ancient history lesson. It's about that feeling of being totally overwhelmed, just set on a legendary stage. So, meet Arjuna. He's the most celebrated warrior of his time, but right now he's completely frozen by despair. He looks across the battlefield and doesn't see enemies. He sees his family, his cousins, his mentors. The weight of it all is so immense that his famous bow, the Gandiva, literally just slips from his grasp. He is completely undone.
And this, right here, is the heart of the matter. Arjuna's dilemma is one we all face. It's that gut-wrenching moment when what you have to do feels like it clashes with everything you want to do. It's that point where your duty becomes the source of just profound confusion and stress.
Okay, so this raw moment of human crisis, it's the very thing that kicks off all the wisdom in the Gita. The entire text is basically a direct response to Arjuna's despair. But before we get to the solution, we really need to clear up a major misconception about what the Gita even is.
And this is a really key point. The Gita isn't some rigid, dogmatic book filled with a bunch of rules. It's actually presented as a universal philosophy of action, a practical guide for dealing with life's challenges, no matter who you are or what you believe.
And get this, the text signals its true purpose from the very first verse. The setting isn't called a field of war, it's called a field of duty. That one little shift in language changes everything. The conversation isn't just about fighting, it's about making the right choices and sticking to our responsibilities even when it's incredibly, incredibly hard.
So how does Arjuna get out of this mess? Well, his charioteer, who is also his divine guide, Krishna, offers him this powerful philosophy for living, a whole new way of acting in the world that can free him from his despair. This path is called karma yoga.
Krishna starts by breaking down the whole idea of action itself. First, there's karma, the righteous actions that create good things. Then there's vikarma, the prohibited actions that lead to chaos. And then there's this third, much more subtle category, akarma. This isn't about doing nothing. It's a special kind of action that's done with a state of inner calm and detachment.
And this leads us to the absolute core principle of karma yoga, nishkam karma, or selfless action. The idea is simple, but it's totally revolutionary. You have a right to your actions, but you have no control over the results. So, therefore, you have no right to the results.
There's this beautiful metaphor for this mindset, the lotus leaf. It just rests there on the water, totally supported by it, but it never actually gets wet or weighed down. And that's the goal for us, right? To engage fully with our work and our lives, but to remain mentally untouched by the praise, the blame, the success, or the failure that will inevitably come with it.
Okay, this is a really powerful idea, but let's be real. How do we actually put this into practice in our jobs, in our studies, in our daily lives? Well, the Gita gives us two guiding principles for acting skillfully.
The very first principle is something called samatvam, which basically translates to equanimity or even-mindedness. You can think of this as the psychological foundation for everything else. So what is equanimity really? Well, it's the practice of cultivating a stable, balanced mind. It's about meeting success and failure, pleasure and pain, praise and criticism with the same steady calm. It's not about being emotionless, not at all. It's about not being controlled by your emotions so you can act from a place of inner peace and clarity. The second principle, and this one builds directly on top of equanimity, is kushalam. This translates to skill in action, and this is where the philosophy gets super practical.
See, this isn't just about being good at your job. It's about bringing a level of excellence and wholehearted dedication to everything you do. Whether you're a student, a scientist, an artist, whatever, the idea is to do your work with perfection, not for some reward, but for the sake of the work itself, as a form of service. When you combine this skillful action with that equanimity we just talked about, any action, no matter how small, becomes a form of yoga.
So why does this ancient conversation still resonate so powerfully today? Why should we, here in our modern world, care about this dialogue on a battlefield?
Because its central message is absolutely timeless. It's not a religious doctrine, it's a science of action.
It gives us a practical framework for navigating our jobs, our relationships, and our own inner lives with a real sense of purpose. And by teaching us to let go of the outcomes we can't control, it offers a direct path to freedom from all the anxiety and stress that is so common today.
And its influence has been just profound. It's reached far beyond spiritual seekers, to leaders, philosophers, even scientists. J. Robert Oppenheimer famously turned to the Gita to try and grapple with the massive moral weight of creating the atomic bomb. The fact that this ancient text could offer some kind of context for one of the most terrifying moments in human history, well, that speaks volumes about its universal and enduring power.
So, at the end of the day, the Gita leaves us with a powerful challenge. It suggests that any action, from writing an email to having a difficult conversation, can be a source of peace and fulfillment if we approach it with that balance and skill. So the question isn't just theoretical. Think about the very next thing you have to do today. How can you transform that simple action into your own form of yoga?